Welcome to episode 34 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week, as I'm joined each week, except when I'm not, by Doug Griffith.
Hi. Greetings to all, and we'll give a weather report. It's wet and really nasty outside today. Although not too cold, but it just has been raining all day.
Yeah, it's like a weird kind of, it's like a weird kind of muggy.
Like Seattle weather.
It's very Seattle. And we do have a guest, although we've been promising to have a guest, and last week, well, I'll let him tell the story, but last week he was almost a guest. He watched, but I didn't listen to him. So we have Todd DeHart from GoodCleanFunLife.com.
How are you guys doing? It's nice to finally be here and to be on air as opposed to just watching, like the kid outside the window tapping the glass to try to get in.
Yeah, last week what happened was Todd was supposed to be the guest, and I didn't click the right button, so he wasn't able to sign on, and I didn't know that. I thought that he just wasn't there.
Technical difficulties.
That's what I kept saying. I'm saying, well, Todd called in, and he's having trouble, and of course it was just me trying to make excuses for Todd not showing up. Well, Todd's there going like, please, let me in.
It was a good show. I enjoyed it. I actually think it was just a trick for you to get me to watch because I'm a big supporter of yours, although I don't actually read or actually consume all of the things that you do.
Or any of the things that I do.
Or any of the things that you do. Right, exactly.
So the reason we're having Todd on is not only because he's a blast around. We do a podcast together. It's called the Happy Hour Toddcast. You can see it here actually on Tuesdays about 5:30 or so, depending upon who remembers to show up. But he also has been working with Burley Oak on their Kickstarter project, and we were going to talk to him a little bit about that. So you want to give us a brief update and a plan?
Sure, yeah, definitely. And for those who don't know, Burley Oak is doing a Kickstarter campaign to raise money to get a canning line, which is going to be the next big thing for them. And I think what if I pop over here, I can tell you we're over the 40. We're over 90% funded.
Brilliant.
And 20 days left to go. So we're doing very well. We had a really big hit. We're looking for a small semi-automated canning line. It's run by a person who will put the two empty cans in, and it has an automatic seamer for the lid, and pass it on down the line. But they can do about 15 barrels in a 10-hour day is what the production is going to be for that, and that works out well because they just upgraded to a 15-barrel system. So one day, I guess the theory is that one day a week they'll be able to take a batch and can for distribution. So really look at like all of their stuff. Actually, we picked this up this weekend. This is a bottle of their Doppelbock. It's called the Fat Kid, and has a grade school picture of Justin on it, which I think is hilarious.
That's wonderful.
But one of the things that they always do is they always include a little Berlin love on there as well. So the whole canning line is going to be sending not only Burley Oak but
Berlin love. Huh?
Yeah, a little Berlin love. Burley in love.
Yes.
Do you have any experience with canning, Doug? What do you know about canning? Anything?
Not done anything with canning. I've been with bottling. Did some with Dogfish early on.
Mm-hmm.
So worked on their bottler.
So when because Brian started here with you.
Yes, home brewer. Yes.
Right. And I just wanted to see if you had anything to say about the prospect of canning. How do you feel about canning?
I think it's very positive. I think shipping costs for cans themselves are much lower because they're lighter. Less impact on the environment, I assume, since cans are much smaller than what glass is.
Mm-hmm.
Although glass can be reused, so is aluminum cans. So, but it's a lighter all the way around. I think it's lighter to ship in, lighter to ship out.
One of the things we were also talking about was shelf space.
Yeah.
Because they take up less space on the shelf.
Get more in the same space, and for shipping wise, probably less size of shipping or more in the same size.
One of the things that Todd had mentioned, and if you could comment on it, Todd, is you're concerned that you're your own worst enemy because Burley's doing so well with the fundraising that they're not getting as quickly as they could.
I think we're in good shape. I think right now things are going to run the course. Obviously, we're expected to meet our goal handedly. When we put the plan together, the idea is that we would hit our goal early and then put some extended goals out there so that people know that even if we're getting overfunded, it's going towards, if not specifically the canning line, the next $12,000 is earmarked for that first pallet of, ready, labeled, and shipped cans to the brewery. So, that's a big expense. And then if we go beyond that, we can actually start thinking about doing another beer than just the first run, and actually maybe send out 2 beers in the first batch, something along those lines. But
that would be very exciting, and there's no word yet on the.
No, well, I mean, just like with everything that Brian does, he will wait until it is absolutely necessary to make the decision. I don't know if he's a genius or just dumb luck, but he's definitely got a good handle on when it's time to make the right decision, and it's usually right before the decision absolutely has to be made.
That's wonderful. You want to just quick with a plug on where to fund the prizes and things like that.
Go to Kickstarter.com, search Burley Oak, and it's one of the if you search Burley Oak, it will come up. There are backer incentives that you can choose your incentive that you want to do based on the amount you want to pledge. $50 gets you a T-shirt, which is unique to only will probably only be about 500 people at most who are actual backers. So they'll be able to get a custom T-shirt, a custom bottle opener, which is kind of ironic that they would give out a bottle opener for a canning line. But
people. I'm one of those people. I have a bottle. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people. I have a bottle opener collection. Did you ever collect the bottle openers when you go from place to place? Yeah, I guess you would have to build your own house to keep if you traveled around, it would have its own thing. Here's the Kickstarter. We'll put it up on the screen for you to see. And yes, you're 22 days to go. There are 328 backers and almost 41 grand.
Yeah.
So that is striking distance because here's the T-shirt. That's what I wanted to show last week, and I didn't get a chance to.
Oh yeah.
Todd and I spoke about how the T-shirt looks like a sad sit. So
of course, now that you said that, I can't stop. I can't not see that. So
yeah, it can't be unseen.
But there's some other fun things. Of course, everybody's going to get their name, or everybody who donates gets a handwritten poem from the staff, which should be hilarious. And there's opportunities to put their name on the canning line and that sort of thing, so they're able to really get a little bit of ownership in the whole process. And we've actually had one person who has accepted and hopefully doesn't get cold feet, but he seems pretty excited about it. But one of the larger rewards where he's going to be able to come in and basically be a brewer for the day, either with one of his recipes or one of the recipes that they develop, and we'll make a beer to be on tap, through Burley Oak, but that is of his creation. So that will be pretty neat.
Good. That is really cool. Do you know who that is, or are we saying who that is, or we're gonna wait till the check clears?
He has. I don't know his. I'm not going to give his name. But he's been back in since making the pledge and seems to be pretty behind it, which I think is actually one of the reasons I'm hesitant to mention is he had made the pledge and then later he had deleted the pledge. And I'm like, oh, his wife, the wife must have come home and said, "You did what?" But it turns out he goes, he was just trying to get another reward. He wanted to see if he could get, because he wanted the T-shirt, or wanted to make sure that he had the silver cup, the stainless steel cup. And it's funny because he came in, he was talking to Bill Todd, and basically said, "Yeah, I think we can get you the stainless steel cup, no problem."
Well, oftentimes with the Kickstarters, like at every level, you get every level below it. That's
Yes, yeah, and that's how we've set it up the same. Actually, that the stainless steel cup is excluded from higher levels. It's only a small amount, because it's and it's going to be one of those things that you keep there and are able to come in and get it filled up with your Burley Oak of choice.
very cool. Very cool. So that's Burley Oak. And Todd, you're going to stay with us while we do a little bit more chatting and pipe in as is necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do the last plug I'll give is for the Radical Beer Fest that they're going to be having this weekend on Saturday all day. It should be a beautiful weekend at the brewery. So
we'll be there set up.
Yeah, wait. Let's talk about that because that's something we know about, and that's something that's more fun. So go ahead.
We're going to set up as a vendor. Talk to Brian, and he's invited us to come down and sell some of our wares. And we'll have a big tent with our bar set up underneath of it. And Sean will be down all day for the whole thing. I'll go down and help him set up in the morning and come back here, work the store for a while, and then we've got a place to go in the afternoon. So Ed, who helps us, he'll be back down after helping us here through the day and help Sean shut down in the evening. Now,
will you have your own Radical beers for tasting there? Is that against the rules? Or
Can't do it, no.
Yeah, I was worried about that. Actually, one of the things in the getting ready to put out a book, I don't know if I mentioned that or not yet.
This hour.
I'm sorry?
This hour.
Yeah, right. But one of the things is we're hoping to actually have Ed design us a beer or help us design a beer for the book exclusively. And we wouldn't be able to serve that at any of the breweries. So we're probably, Cambridge has, I think, invited us to have a big grand opening there and do one thing. And then, of course, we're going to do something big here at, I'm sorry, if I can get permission from the owner, we'll probably do something big here at Extreme Brewing as well.
I know from all the coordination we've been doing with the Good Beer Festival, they have to have a separate license for the untaxed beer.
Right.
So there's a taxed area and an untaxed area, and you can't bring one to the other or vice versa. It is a real nightmare legally.
And so what is the Radical Beer Fest? What is that all about?
It started, and I think the full name is the Radical Beer Fest Against the Sterilization of Local Palates. And I think it was just the immediate realization that Brian had that there's a large population that just drinks natural light in this area, and that he constantly has 10 or 12 different styles of beer, and I think it's. They'll do some even more funky stuff to sort of expand the palate. I know for me, a year ago, I maybe just started trying a sour here or there, and I thought that was the dumbest idea ever. It tasted awful, but now I love it, and it really is it kind of started as a joke, but there's some legitimacy to improving your palate.
Yes, I just tried sour trip for the first time, and sours again for me are always hit and miss. It's just sometimes I like them and sometimes I don't. I thought sour trip was a perfectly acceptable beer.
Some are fantastic.
Yeah,
and others I agree. They're hit or miss, but you got to try it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what I think the Radical Beer Fest should be about. Is about encouraging people to not be afraid to try better and different beers.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have some beers that are already brewed this one time,
just to be
for
kooky.
This event.
Yep.
So something very unique.
And some of those might even be hit or miss. And that's part of the experimentation aspect of it, which is good.
Was that on your end?
Yeah, that's the local That's the local fire horn. So if you, and then the great thing is now the dog will start howling too.
Interestingly enough, I thought actually it was. I thought it was actually one of your children playing around, doing like like woo in the background. It sounds almost made up. And you don't have to mute. That's kind of you, but you don't have to mute yourself. We'll be okay. Unless it's bothering you too much.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, it's actually pretty hilarious when the dog starts howling at it. So.
Very cool. So Radical Beer Fest is Saturday, the 27th.
Yes.
2 o'clock till 8 p.m.
Yep, they're gonna have great, vendors. I'm glad to hear you guys are gonna be out there, and it's great music, and there's talk of food. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but I know that they've been scrambling and to get everything all squared away for another great day.
Are there any such things as food trucks in Worcester County yet, or is that something that hasn't happened there yet?
I think there are too many politicians that own brick and mortar restaurants for that to. if I can make a political statement, there is a mobile kitchen Brian talked to out of Delaware that may or may not be there, but that would be something cool.
Well, Salisbury just got a food truck. At least one. They may have two, but it's the one is it's like a French fry truck, and that just seems like yes, pull up with your French fry truck and just rake in the cash at the beer festival with just French fries whenever you want them.
That's great.
Yeah.
I know the food truck that I'm referring to it's called Big Thunder, and it's a Matt Haley Sodell Concepts food truck. And
pretty good stuff.
Yeah, so basically it is a brand new mobile kitchen. It was out at the Ocean 98's golf tournament, and they were serving lobster rolls on the 10th hole, and it was just outstanding. And basically, according to them, they can do pretty much anything out of it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm living in San Francisco, Diego, California, someplace. So just a little bit of beer news because we're already running short on time just because we love the sound of my own voice. But the one thing that I wanted to talk about from this week was Budweiser made an announcement, not an announcement, but they kind of like shamed the NFL, and they're like, hey, watch what you're doing, because otherwise we're gonna make you unhappy. And so my conspiracy theory is that Budweiser just wants to stop having to spend money to advertise in the NFL.
This is their way to get out of it.
And I think this is their way to get out of it. And what craft beer is hoping to expand to 20% of the market, as you may or may not know, in the next decade. And I just feel like, and I admit it sounds kooky, but I feel like Budweiser might be saying, you know what? Go ahead, have it. Why don't you have 15%? We're going to go to South America, and South America of this century is going to be the North America of the last century, where they're just going to go and ramp up all of this. No one has any opinion about that. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just me and my kookiness. That's the problem. I'm too kooky for the rest of the.
It makes sense to me, but I think I'm just waiting for Professor Russo to drop some more knowledge on.
Well, the thing is that we talked about this on this show a while ago, and on our show a while ago as well. Is Budweiser bought Modelo, which owns Corona, and one of the rules was the U.S. made them spin off Corona as its own company in the U.S. because otherwise it would be too big a monopoly. But so now if you go to South America, Heineken has some beer there, Miller has some beer there, but mostly it's Budweiser, AB InBev, the monster conglomerate. And there's no craft beer revolution going on in South America. And
you're anticipating that there will be?
Probably not. I don't think for a while. I think we're going to be happy to get, because now they can get Corona or Bud Light Lime,
Yeah.
Yeah, they have choices now. So I don't see where there is a beer revolution going on though is in Europe. There's an American style craft beer revolution going on in Europe. We've talked about it a couple of times. Do you know anything about?
Every time I've gone to Europe, Bud has always been on tap in the local tap houses.
Right.
I mean, that's been like that for quite a while.
Well, but what they're doing now is they're actually buying American style craft beer. So there are breweries
Building or brewing American.
They're brewing American style craft beers, like bolder, more interesting beers. And a couple of months ago, one of the biggest Belgian companies bought an American craft beer just so they can import it into Belgium.
That's kind of crazy.
That's how crazy it is. Yeah, it was Duvel. Have you seen Duvel beer? Yeah, they bought.
But it's like anything. They want what we have. We want what they have. So it's go back and forth.
Right, and that they bought Kansas City. They bought Boulevard beer out of Kansas City, and everybody's like, oh, now a big conglomerate bought them, and they're like, no, we just want to make sure that we can have this beer whenever we want. So we bought the company. It's like there used to be that commercial. I love the product so much I bought the company. So I just find that fascinating. And so that's the beer news. And then last but not least, as we showed earlier, now Doug has something to say about this, so we'll talk about this for a bit. Is the beer tree? And for those of you who are watching at home, playing at home, this is the beer tree. And so, Doug, can you...
Great sculpture, and yes, it probably does make beer. I mean, you've got your typical 3 vessels, your hot liquor tank at the top with your mash tun down next, and then your boil kettle next, and down to the bottom through a chiller into a fermenter at the bottom. In the base, you can't hardly see it, but there are some controls. The temperature switches on and off, and I assume that turns the burners on. It looks like everything is electric from what I can see. But I just don't know what the volume of those vessels are. I'd say something about 2 gallons or so. So you can make yourself 2 gallons of beer, maybe.
Right, and for the same price of a mere 7 gallons of beer, you can make 2 gallons of beer.
But it is a neat, unique sculpture.
Well, and what I like about it, if nothing else, is it's getting people to start thinking about making beer at home, and that's good for everybody, because if you're making beer at home, then you're buying better beer when you're out.
That's true.
I'll tell you this. Other than, like I said before, it looking like the world's slowest beer bong, to me it's helpful because I'm a beer drinker. I'm a music lover. I'm not a musician. I'm not a brewer, and I'm also a very visual person. So having it look the way it does actually kind of makes sense to me. It's like, okay, so this is the process, this is the flow of it. As opposed to the smart guys who are just writing recipes and that sort of thing.
Well, you can think of if you look at the top, it's hot water, grain, sweet water, and then beer at the bottom. So
that's for me. One of the things that's been really helpful for me is coming here every week. I've watched them brew a couple times, and I get the process now, but I've been proofing the final part of the book, and every time I mention anything about the brewing process, I hold my breath a little bit, and then I go and I look it up online. I'm like, is this really what happens?
Yeah.
It's a little embarrassing. But if there were only some place where people could come and learn how to brew, do you know of any places like that?
I don't know of any, but we've got classes.
Yeah, and we're gonna put this is the new thing in the show. We're going to be putting the classes up on the screen. So give me a second, and while I grab the classes, and I'm sorry, are the classes on the
I
website
think so.
yet?
Patty had worked on them. I'm pretty sure she put.
What do you think? We got
there
classes.
it is.
Okay, so let's share this. We'll go through the classes, and then we'll get ready to sign off. And now, I don't know if you know this, Todd, but you can just come and watch. And you also, I'll let Doug tell his whole story. So let's go through the classes and how they work. So.
Well, there's different layers, and we have the most popular are the basic brewing and the basic winemaking. Get you started in chip winemaking as well as fruit winemaking. On the beer side, this is where I concentrate a little bit more. The basic brewing class is an extract brewing class. It takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to run the class, and during the class we actually make a beer. So you get a beer made to the point where it's ready to ferment. That fermentation then starts when it's cooled and we add yeast. Generally in about 2 weeks it's completely fermented and ready to be kegged here. So you can come back in about 2 weeks and taste the beer that we have made during that class. Now sometimes it may be 3 weeks or a month because of what we have on tap, or we may have taken it, like for the Good Beer Festival, we made beer through one of the last classes. It's going to end up going to the Good Beer Festival because we're going to be there for 2 days. I think it's the 11th, 12th of October, Saturday and Sunday. And during those 2 days, we're allowed, because we're in the area that is the non-taxed licensed area, to give samples. We're going to be serving our beer that we've got made. We're going to have some cider too to taste. But we're trying to have 4 beers on Saturday, 4 beers on Sunday to taste, as well as a cider. So we have to make beer.
That's very cool. And if you want to, if let's say that, Todd, you wanted to spend a Sunday afternoon here learning to brew, all you would have to, well, I don't know, you guys.
Well, no, not Sunday.
No, but let's say Thursday.
Usually Thursdays or Thursday evenings or Saturday afternoons. So we try to do it during the week when we know a lot of people have things going on Saturdays that they don't want to spend
too much time
learning. But also we have other people who don't have time during the week who have a Saturday afternoon. And like I said, it's about 2.5 hours. We walk you through all the basics that you need to know to make some extract beer. Beyond that, generally 2 or 3 times a year we have an all-grain brewing class where we actually show you how to make it from scratch, from malt that then gets crushed and water added to, you extract the sugars out of it, boil the beer, and then it's about the same process through fermentation as it is through extract beers.
And so, yeah, you can get your own personal. If you bring enough people, you can have your own class.
Yes, definitely.
Well, you don't have to come to these classes again. We'll put the classes up for a second. So everybody, get out your notebooks. I didn't mean to surprise you. Out your notebooks, and so the next class is October 25th, and then after that November. So and there's also wine classes, as you can see here. But if you wanted to come in the middle of that, and you could get 6 or 7 people together.
Yeah, we're glad to have a special class, and we'll do it. Try to arrange a time that's mutually agreeable for you and us. So
yeah, very cool. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the Good Beer Fest. Are you going out to the Good Beer Festival at all to shoot or anything, Todd?
We are going to get there on Saturday to make an appearance. We're actually doing our own fall beer tasting on Sunday. Which is kind of fun. It's just a little silly tradition. It's, Natalie loves the pumpkin spice beer, so we get the friends together over here at the Crowbar. But we usually have some pretty good, knowing people who are making beer. We have some good people drop off some stuff. So that's what we do on Sunday. But we'll be out on Saturday for the Good Beer Fest.
Very cool. I'll be there the whole time filming because that's my job that weekend, and that's very cool. And I'll be there if anybody wants to come and pre-order Eastern Shore beer, the heady history of Chesapeake brewing. You're more than welcome to come out, find me. I have order forms. I'll get them in the mail, and you can pre-order my book, and that would be freaking awesome if you did. And if you don't, that's cool too. I'll just talk bad about you behind your back. All right, and that's it. We're going to call time at the bar. Thank you so much, Todd, for joining us, and thank you so much, Doug, for joining me this week, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Bye-bye.